Well, I called the council, the World Athletics Council, together today to discuss the situation and to cut to the chase. We have now excluded our authorized neutral athletes. They're Russian athletes. They've been given that status for many years and for obvious reasons around anti-doping. And also the Belarusian athletes, we've excluded them from our World Championship Series this year. And for the foreseeable future. So we have 5 World Championships in different guises. We have in fact, I'm sitting talking to you in Oman on Friday. We have the World Race Walk Championships. And so we had to move quickly to make sure that we were able to convey just the appalling nature of what we've witnessed. And the issue for us now is that those athletes will not be competing here or in any of our World Championships this year.
And this is a complete ban. They're not allowed to compete, under a neutral flag or with no national anthem, no Russian flag. A complete ban.
Yeah, they will not be competing in any of our World Championship events. And we have 5 World Championships this year on 4 different continents. But be very clear about it. The Russian athletes will not be competing under neutral status, which they have, and the Belarusian athletes will not be competing either. They are excluded.
Now, I know, and we've talked many times about this, that you are instinctively, I think, against boycotts and sporting boycotts because you think it, hurts the athletes. I mean, you competed in 1980, for instance. What is different about this? What makes this something that you think deserves an all-out ban?
Well, Mark, first of all, you're right. It's not my natural instinct. I didn't come into the sport, and I certainly didn't seek to become president of the sport to sanction athletes and prevent them from competing. But this is a very, very different scale of problem. The Russian athletes have been banned in our sport, and we've been very tough. We're the only member federation that chose to suspend the Russian Federation because of egregious doping, an egregious doping record and an incursion into our own integrity. But look, I've always fought hard for maintaining the primacy of the athletes and the independence of sport. But on this occasion, I think we have to recognize that there is a global response. It's not that sport is alone, as it has in the past, carried the burden when other organizations, governments, it's been business as usual. We have to recognize that we're part of something far bigger, and our own interests at the moment have to be secondary to the united nature of solidarity here. It's a modest contribution, but we were very, very clear, the council was very clear that this was on a scale, the appalling acts of barbarity that are being witnessed every minute under this situation is something that my sport, and I know many, many other sports, can't just sit the dance out, not on this occasion.
And I heard someone trying to defend, continuing with Russian athletes and Belarusian athletes the other day. But as someone pointed out here to me yesterday, what about Ukrainian athletes? These Ukrainian athletes can't do anything at the moment. And a lot of the Ukrainian athletes are actually signing up for a volunteer force to fight President Putin's army. Have you been horrified what's been happening here?
Yes, I have. And Mark, you're in the epicenter of it. But none of us could sit here and accept Russian athletes or Belarusian athletes competing while we have Ukrainian athletes, some in bunkers, some not able to leave the country. It just doesn't, it felt entirely wrong. And look, just a few hours, literally an hour and a half before my council meeting this afternoon that sanctioned, that excluded those athletes, I was, in a very interrupted FaceTime conversation with a very senior figure in Ukrainian athletics who was, in a bunker protecting his family. This is unsustainable, and we had to do something. And, we've been as tough as we possibly can. And I think other sports are following in exactly the same way. And this has to be a global response. This can't just be borne by governments or, the United Nations. Everybody that is in a position to make their feelings truly felt has to be articulate and clear about this.
Yeah, and what about FIFA and the IOC? I mean, two organisations that are, if I can put it this way, not quick to find their moral conscience.
Well, look, let's not go back into the history of this. Sport has responded, I think, in the right way. We were very clear 5 years ago that the level of doping that was taking place in Russia was unacceptable. It was destroying the fabric of our sport. We suspended the Russian Federation. We have a roadmap for reinstatement. That clearly is now seriously in jeopardy. And we need to make sure that, the purpose and the values of our sport shine through. It's not always easy. Sometimes decisions have to be made that are necessarily pragmatic, and you want to always defend the primacy and the independence of sport. But this goes way, way beyond any philosophical discussions about athletes or even the right of a federation to exist. This is now so serious that sport has to, it cannot sit the dance. It cannot sit the dance out on this.
Okay.